Sally that girl in the kitchen. Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Sally that girl in the kitchen. In today's episode, I'm going to teach you how to make a chocolate glitter tsunami cake. Yes, a glitter tsunami cake. What is that? Well, you're soon to find out. We are going to make a 2-layer chocolate cake, a pretty basic chocolate cake. But what brings this cake over the top and makes it really special and really fun for a special occasion or for a celebration is that we are going to create this yummy, sweet, thick type of liquid that we're going to put on top, and then we are going to release the acetate that is surrounding our cake, and it is going to create a tsunami effect. We're going to have this thick, yummy, sweetened condensed milk mixture just fall all over our cake. And we add that edible glitter just for dramatic presentation. It is a lot of fun. Of course, you can do other varieties. You can sprinkle it with crushed up cookies or just use a different topping. But I think the glitter is going to be a lot of fun, especially when we're trying to do it for a fun night and for a celebration. So let's not wait another second and let's get started. For the chocolate cake portion of our recipe, you will need 1 3/4 cups of all-purpose flour, 2 cups of sugar, 1½ teaspoons of baking powder, 1½ teaspoons of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of salt, 3/4 cup of unsweetened cocoa powder, 2 large room temperature eggs, 1 cup of buttermilk, 1/2 cup of vegetable oil, 2 teaspoons of pure vanilla extract, 1 cup of really hot, almost boiling water, 10 ounces of store-bought chocolate pudding, and some non-stick cooking spray. And for the glitter tsunami part of our recipe, you will need 14 ounces of sweetened condensed milk, 8 ounces of whole milk, 12 ounces of heavy cream, 1 cup of powdered whole milk, 1/4 cup of cornstarch with a splash of water added to it, some purple gel food coloring, or really the color of your choice, and 0.07 ounces of edible glitter. I'm also using purple, but the colors are really up to you. You will also need a large and a medium bowl, a large spoon, a couple of wet measuring cups, some dry measuring cups, and some measuring spoons, a scissor, a toothpick or a skewer for testing the doneness of your cake, another skewer to add your gel food coloring, a wire whisk, a couple of spatulas, and another spatula for spreading, a bowl and a fork, a handheld mesh strainer, which is optional but will help with the glitter, some parchment paper, some scotch tape, and I am using 8-inch acetate because I want the acetate taller than my 2-layer cake. And I am using a revolving cake stand, but you really just need any surface or platter to build your cake upon. You will also need a medium-sized pot as we will be making our tsunami mixture on the stove, and you will need 2 8-inch round cake pans with vertical sides. Now that we have all of our tools and ingredients together, let's get started. The first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to preheat your oven to 350 degrees, making sure that you have a rack placed in the center of the oven. Then you're going to add your flour to your largest bowl. Then to that, you are going to add your salt, your baking soda, and your baking powder. Then add your unsweetened cocoa powder, and then finally your sugar. Now, once all of these dry ingredients have been added, grab a whisk, and then you're going to whisk all of the ingredients together. You are trying to form a homogeneous mixture. You want everything to be very well incorporated. You want to make sure you get your salt and your baking powder and all of your ingredients very well distributed, and you have a uniform brown color. So now set that bowl aside and bring over your medium bowl and also your small bowl and your fork. Then you're going to crack your room temperature eggs into the small bowl and then whisk them really well with a fork. Just make sure they're very well beaten. Then you're going to add them to your medium bowl. This is where we're going to mix together all of our wet ingredients. So once your eggs are in, then we are going to move on to add our buttermilk, which will really give a great texture and flavor to this chocolate cake. Then we will add our vanilla. And then finally, we are going to add our vegetable oil. So just pour that in, and then we're going to give it all a really good mix. We want to try to bring these ingredients together. Now, I haven't forgotten our really hot water, but before I add it, I want to prepare our pans because we are going to have them ready when we mix all our ingredients together. So what you want to do is cut circles the size of your pans so that you can line the bottom of your pans with these circles. But we are also going to be spraying our pans with nonstick spray. Lining of our pans with parchment and the spraying will ensure that our cakes do not stick. They are going to come out beautiful. So don't skip this step. So make sure that you cut your rounds the size of the bottom of your pans, and then you are going to use your spray and you are going to spray the entire pan. So take the round out because you want to spray the pan itself, and you want to make sure that you get the sides and just spray it really, really well. And then once you've sprayed the pan, then you are to add that parchment paper, and then you are also going to spray the parchment. So this will really ensure that your cakes do not stick. They're going to come out absolutely perfect. Then just repeat the same process for your second pan, remembering to spray before you add the parchment paper, and then again after you add the paste. So once both of your pans are ready, we can continue to work on our cake batter. So you're going to bring over both your dry ingredients and your wet ingredients because now it's time to start combining them. I have not forgotten my really hot water. That is going to be the last step. So what I'm going to do is just bring over my wet ingredients and I'm going to add them to the bigger bowl where my dry ingredients are. And then I am going to combine everything together. I'm going to use my whisk and I'm going to bring it all together to make one mixture. You want to make sure to combine the ingredients really well. You want them very well incorporated. So just use your whisk and continue to stir until you bring everything together and you create a delicious, thick, chocolatey mixture. And then this is when you're going to want to heat up your water. You want your water really hot. I use the microwave oven for about 2 minutes, but if you're not comfortable with heating water to this temperature in a microwave, then of course you can use a tea kettle or your stove top. But you do want your water really hot, almost at boiling or even just at boiling. And then you're going to add it into this thick mixture and you're going to combine it well using your whisk. You are going to notice that the mixture becomes runny. It's no longer a thick batter, but that is perfectly normal. That is the consistency that we need for this delicious, moist chocolate cake. So once all of your ingredients have combined well and everything has come together and you notice that your mixture is nice and runny and not at all lumpy, it's now time to add this delicious mixture to your cake pans. So our pans are already prepared, so we're just going to bring them over and you are going to divide this mixture between your 2 cake pans. Bring the bowl over and just pour the batter straight into your cake pans And then of course, use your spatula to scrape off any yummy goodness that has stayed behind. I will mention that if you rather make a vanilla glitter tsunami cake, you can use the batter that I use in my vanilla cupcakes with rainbow buttercream frosting to make vanilla cakes instead. That is also an option if you prefer a vanilla glitter tsunami cake. So you could always do that. But these chocolate cakes are absolutely delicious. Either way, you'll have a delicious cake. So now that we've added our batter into our pans, it's time to place them into the oven. So grab them each carefully and place them in a center rack of your hot oven where we are going to allow them to bake. They are going to cook for a full 37 minutes. So set a 37-minute timer on your oven. Of course, 37 minutes is what it took on my oven. Oven temperatures do vary, so we will be testing the cakes to make sure that they are done. Now, once these are in the oven, it's a good time to prepare the ingredients for our thick and delicious glitter tsunami topping. Now, I like to just get these things ready and take advantage of the time while my cakes are baking. We are not going to prepare this mixture just yet. We have to allow our cakes to cool once they are cooked. So I'm just getting my ingredients ready. It's not time to cook them just yet. We still need to cool and assemble our cakes. So now 37 minutes have passed and our cakes are ready to be pulled out of the oven. They are looking and smelling incredible, absolutely delicious, and truthfully, they are great to eat just like this. Now be sure to test your cake for doneness. Remember, ovens vary, so use either a toothpick or a thin skewer, and then you are just going to put it in somewhere near the center of your cake and just make sure that you're not getting wet batter on the toothpick and that the toothpick comes out fairly clean. You want to do this to both of your cakes to make sure that they have fully cooked. So at this point, I like to set a 10-minute timer because I want to let my cakes just cool ever so slightly in their pans before I flip them out of their pans. So set a timer, and then after the 10 minutes have passed, and of course using oven mitts because your cakes will still be quite hot, you are going to want to grab a plate or a flat platter, and you are going to use it to help you take your cakes out of the pans. So you place the plate on top of your pan, and then you are going to carefully turn it over. And you will notice that because we prepared this pan so well, your cake is going to just slip right out of your pan. And there you have. Look how beautiful. That's why the parchment and the nonstick spray are so important. So now just take your fingers very carefully and lift off that layer of parchment paper. And then you guessed it, you're going to want to do the same thing to your second cake. You're going to just very carefully flip that one over and repeat the same process. So now it is very important that once you flip your cakes, you allow them to cool completely before you try to assemble them, because if not, they're going to just break apart. So you want to make sure to set a 30-minute timer to allow your cake to completely cool. And if you're like me and a little impatient, you can even stick them in your freezer to help with the cooling process. But if not, then just leave them on your counter and be patient until they are fully cooled. So now is a good time to work on preparing your acetate. So we have an 8-inch acetate because I want it to be tall enough to hold that delicious thick liquid that I'm going to add on top of our cake. And then you also want it to be long enough so that it kind of folds over itself. You don't want it to meet perfectly. You want it to fold, and then you want to tape it. So you want to make sure your piece is long enough. Now finally, our cakes are cool enough and we're getting to the really fun part. We're going to start assembling our cake and making our yummy glitter tsunami topping. So I'm using a revolving cake stand, but like I said, all you need is a platter. We're not doing any intricate piping, so all you really need is a stable platter to work on. Now, the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to add your store-bought chocolate pudding. I decided to use store-bought pudding in this recipe because I did not want to add a whole other step of preparing a buttercream. But of course, if you'd like to prepare a buttercream, you can also use the buttercream from my vanilla cupcakes with rainbow buttercream frosting. Just don't add the colors and make a basic buttercream, and then you can use it in the center of this cake. You could also add some cocoa powder to it and make it chocolate if you'd like. And you can also substitute this chocolate pudding and use your favorite jam. You could use strawberry or apricot jam. That would be absolutely delicious. Really customize the filling of this cake to whatever you like. You could even add some slivered almonds on top of the chocolate pudding or some crushed up walnuts. Really make it your own, whatever you like. But the truth is, I love chocolate pudding in this cake because the topping, that glitter tsunami topping, is so creamy and delicious. And then the addition of the pudding in the center really is spectacular. It's just a creamy, moist, incredible cake, not to mention really incredible looking. It's gonna be so much fun. This is a rustic cake, so don't worry about getting this perfect. I placed my cakes face down because it gives me a flatter surface to work on. And that way, now when I'm going to add my second layer, it's going to help me have a nice flat surface to work on. Now, of course, if your cake's domed up a little during baking, then you can use a serrated knife and flatten them out a little. But as I said, this is a rustic looking cake because that tsunami on top is going to make it quite rustic. So just turning them over should probably be enough. Now, you place that second layer of cake on top and just look how spongy and moist that looks. That's incredible with that yummy chocolate pudding in the center. This would be perfect just like this. But of course, we want to take this over the top. So we are going to make that yummy tsunami topping. Now, in order to be able to add the topping, here's where we are going to put the acetate around our cake. So remember, we cut our acetate long enough so that it will overlap. So you're just going to place it on your cake and then make sure that the acetate overlaps itself. And then we are just going to use some tape to bring the pieces together. Try to get the acetate on pretty tightly around the cake so that it's nice and snug. And then take a second piece of tape and then just secure the acetate on the top. Just want to make sure that it's nice and secure and nice and tight. So 2 pieces of tape is usually enough. So our cake is now filled and it is ready. And now we can finally start working on that yummy topping that we're going to be adding on top of this cake. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to measure out your cornstarch. And then to that cornstarch, you're going to drizzle in a couple of tablespoons of room temperature water, and then just use a spoon and create a paste. We're making a slurry that's going to help thicken that delicious glitter tsunami topping that we're going to add on top of our cake. So the cornstarch is really important. So if you feel that it's too dry and it's not forming a paste, then just pour in just a little more water and then continue to mix until you bring it all together and create a cornstarch paste. Once the 2 ingredients come together, it's just going to look like a milky mixture. Just make sure that there's no chunks and that you've broken down all of the cornstarch. Now, once this is ready, you're going to set it aside, and then you're going to head over to your stove and you're going to turn on your heat to a medium low. We want to be somewhere between low and medium low. And then we are going to start adding all our yummy, creamy ingredients. So first, pour in your milk. And then right on top of that, go ahead and add your heavy cream. And then you're going to want to add your sweetened condensed milk. Yes, this is a thick, creamy, and sweet topping. Make sure you get all that yummy goodness in. Now, add your powdered milk to this mixture and then use a spatula to start stirring the mixture together and bringing the ingredients together. Continue to stir constantly, as what you want to do is to bring all the ingredients together, and remember to keep your temperature pretty low. If your stove runs real hot, then lower your temperature to low, because you just want to warm up these ingredients and incorporate them well, continuing to stir the whole time. Now, once you can no longer see the dry powdered milk and all your ingredients have incorporated, then now is the time to bring over that cornstarch slurry that we prepared. The idea of the cornstarch is to thicken this mixture, so you're going to have to make sure to stir constantly, as once you add that cornstarch, the mixture will start to thicken very quickly. So my stovetop runs pretty hot, and my mixture will thicken very quickly. It shouldn't take more than a minute or two of constant stirring to notice that my mixture is going to quickly change in texture. It's going to become much thicker. So keep an eye on it and don't stop stirring. Now, at this point, it's been about a minute or two of me stirring, and I'm starting to notice that my mixture is thickening. And as soon as you realize that it's getting real thick, it's time to take your pot off the stove. So pay very close attention, and you're going to see it transform very soon. It is starting to thicken, and in just a moment, you're going to notice that the texture completely changes. You see how it's thickening up? Just keep stirring it, making sure to scrape the sides as you go along. And you see how it's starting to get really, really thick? Now, very soon, I'm going to pull it off the stove. I'm stirring the whole time, not stopping at all. And I just want to get all that liquid to thicken up. And here I'm almost there. You see how thick it's become? So now I'm turning my stove completely off. So now I just continue to stir for a minute or two with the stove off to just get my mixture really smooth and creamy. On a gas stove, I can do it right here on the same burner, but if you're using an electric stove, it's probably best you pull off the burner, because there will be plenty of residual heat and you don't want the stove on anymore. At this point, you want the stove off and you just want to stir and get your mixture nice and smooth and creamy. So once your mixture is nice and smooth, transfer it from your pot into either a glass bowl, or in my case, I'm using a glass measuring cup, and then just pour it in there, because we're taking it off the heat. At this point, we no longer want it in the hot pot. It's nice and smooth and it's ready. So this is the consistency you are looking for once your mixture is ready. But if you find that your mixture is a little too thick, because I know working with cornstarch can be tricky, then you can just add some more heavy cream to the mixture and just stir it in. It's fine. You could just thin it out with a little more cream if you need to. Now, once you feel you've gotten the right texture, then grab your gel food coloring, and I like to use a skewer to help me add it to my mixture. With gel food coloring, a little goes a long way, so you won't need too much. I am using purple, but as I said earlier, you can use whatever color you want. If you're doing this for a particular occasion, you can customize the color depending on whatever you want and whatever colors you prefer. Once you've added your food coloring, then either use your spatula or your wire whisk and just help incorporate that color. This is really important because you do want a nice uniform color if you're using food coloring. And so you want to make sure that you mix really, really well and incorporate that color in the mixture. You want a really nice, rich color. It really creates a very cool effect to use similar colors in your creamy mixture and your glitter. So I've chosen to go purple with both, but there's nothing stopping you from doing contrasting colors, or you don't have to use color at all if you're against using food colorings. That's fine too. But it is a really cool look when you color your Tsunami cream and you add that colorful glitter. Just wait till you see it. It's really, really great looking. Now, our tsunami mixture is pretty much ready to go. And this is the consistency you are looking for. But of course, if you want your tsunami mixture a little runnier, that's okay too. Like I said, just add some heavy cream and it'll make it just slightly runnier. But I like this thick effect because it gives it almost a little jiggly feel. Wait till you see it at the end. So now that our mixture is ready, it's time to top our cake. So just pour your thick, creamy, yummy mixture right on top of your cake, and then use either a spoon or a spatula to just help you distribute it over the cake. You want to get it all the way to the edge, all the way to the acetate, because what we want is a tsunami effect. We want this mixture to run off the sides of the cake. So don't be afraid to spread it out and bring it all the way to the edges. So now it's time to add our edible glitter. I am using a deep purple color, which I think will look incredible on top of that purple tone that we have just created. But as I said, get creative and use whatever color you choose. Now, I'm going to be using about half of this container, so I like to use a handheld mesh strainer because I feel that it just helps me distribute the glitter. But of course, you could just sprinkle it on directly from the container. If you don't have one, that's fine. But I find that this method just helps me sprinkle that glitter everywhere because I do want to cover the entire top with this glitter because it's going to really create a very pretty effect once we release this liquid over our cake. And of course, be sure to buy food grade edible glitter. You are going to be eating this after all, so be sure that you buy edible glitter. Now, look at how spectacular that looks. Just like that, when you present this cake, everyone is going to wonder, what on earth is going on here? This is so pretty to look at, and it is absolutely spectacular. It's that moist chocolate cake with that incredible pudding in the center and that yummy, creamy, sweetened condensed milk topping. And then, of course, you have that dramatic glitter on top. Everyone is going to wonder what is happening. This is how you should serve the cake with the acetate on it. And then, of course, release the acetate when you are about to cut into your cake for an incredible visual presentation. So we are ready to release the acetate and see what happens. Remember, every cake will look a little different. If you've thickened your mixture a little more or a little less, here we go. Gravity will take place and each cake will take on its own look as this yummy mixture falls down the sides of your cake. How beautiful and inviting does that look? This is a rustic looking cake because of course this yummy tsunami has fallen over the sides of your cake and has pretty much taken whatever shape it wants. But however your tsunami manages to fall over your cake, it will look incredible, and it is a whole lot of fun to present a cake like this. No one has ever seen anything like this, and it is really just mesmerizing. It's a lot of fun. Everyone is going to want to participate, and everyone is going to want to taste this because it is really, really good. Just look at how sparkly and fun this looks. Now, granted, if you are a perfectionist, this is not the cake for you. This is not going to be smooth and perfect. It falls over, so it is quite rustic, but it is really mesmerizing and very, very pretty. Not to mention delicious. So I'm not going to wait another second. I'm going to cut into this thing and let's try it. Wow, this feels so moist. Wow, I'm sure it's going to be absolutely delicious. Look how moist and inviting this cake looks. That chocolate pudding in the center and that cream on top, not to mention those sparkles. I am big into anything sparkly. Anyone who knows me well knows I love glitter. This is going to be delicious. I can't wait to take a bite. Wow, look at that. Oh, wow. This is incredible. It is so moist, and that pudding in the center really is spectacular, and that cream on top with that sweetened condensed milk, so moist and delicious. Wow. You've never tasted anything like this. It's just the cake itself is so spongy and moist. And then when you add that pudding and that yummy cream, wow, look at how spongy the cake looks. I'm telling you, the cake alone is delicious. Imagine with all this yummy topping and that pudding, and just look at how beautiful and sparkly it looks. Is it just me, or is this cake so much fun? I just love looking at it. It's really remarkable, and your guests are going to love it. I can't stop looking at that beautiful cake and that incredible glimmer from that wonderful edible glitter. It really looks so, so pretty. And look at how it jiggles. This cake is so much fun. It's not only yummy, it's fun, and it is so playful. You're gonna have a lot of fun with this. So how much fun was that? Forget how amazing it looks. It's just so much fun. Imagine serving this cake with that beautiful acetate around it and people wondering, what on earth is this? And then right before you're ready to serve, you're going to lift it and you're going to have that beautiful tsunami run over it. Incredible. You're going to love it. It's going to leave everyone in awe. Trust me. No, better yet, don't trust me. You're going to have to try to make this recipe yourself. And of course, if you've enjoyed today's recipe, don't forget to like, comment, and share. And most importantly of all, remember to subscribe to my channel and to touch that little notification bell so that you don't miss out on a single amazing and fun recipe that I have planned for you. See you next time. Sally, that girl in the kitchen.